guys, welcome to another episode of the InHerYOUTH podcast. I'm your host, Chinma Eze, and welcome to this very episode. How are you guys doing? Welcome to another episode. You guys, I'm literally always so excited to be filming every single episode on this podcast. It just makes me feel so happy that I can, get up at whatever time that I want, sit at any corner of my room that I want. Like, I'm literally sitting on the floor for today's episode and basically talk to you guys about any topic that has been on my mind. And share with you guys my 2 cents on what I think on the topic. So on today's episode, we are going to be talking about how to activate your mood and increase productivity. This is a specialty of mine, you guys. If you're anything like me, you are somebody who loves to do things when you are in the mood. Like, when you are in the mood, you are your most productive self. You get a lot of things done. I'm someone who has always prioritized my mood. When I was in school, I prioritized my mood to the point that I would only study when I was in the mood to study. Like, if I wasn't in the mood, I was definitely not going to study. And that has helped me to come out with the good grades that I came out with in uni. And when you start tapping into your mood, when you start prioritizing your mood, setting your head in the space of my mood is when I get productive, you start seeing yourself getting a lot of things done. And if you are someone who works according to your mood, you know that your mood is always fleeting. You're not always going to be in the mood to do a particular thing. So that is why I'm making this episode, to help you activate your mood even when you are not feeling in the mood, to get your head in the space of doing that particular thing so that you can get productive and get it done. But before we get into today's episode properly, let me just give you guys a little backstory or a little update on myself. I went to the clinic on Tuesday because I wasn't feeling so good. If you guys watch my vlogs on the main channel, you know that I have been ill for a while and I haven't really been putting out much vlogs lately because I'm just trying to take a break and prioritize my health more. But after all of the medications I took while I was ill and even after I got better, I just felt like my body still wasn't fine, I just felt like I wasn't still back to my normal self. So I decided to go see a doctor. I started talking to her about how I felt, all of the drugs that I've taken, and how I still don't feel good. I still don't feel okay. Then she started asking me questions about my lifestyle. It was a bit confusing. I'm not even going to lie, because I was like, why is she asking me questions about my lifestyle when I'm literally telling you how unwell I feel? But then she made me understand that your lifestyle affects your health. Very true. So she was asking me what do I do every day? How do I spend my day? And I just basically told her that I make content every day. I'm editing vlogs. I'm doing all of that random stuff. And then she told me that content creation is very tasking. That was literally what she said to me. I mean, for someone who isn't the content creator, I don't even know how she could understand that content creation is taxing, because it is. And she was like, always in front of the screen. I'm always, in front of the computer. My eyes are always locked in. And I need to take a break. I need to reduce my screen time. I need to take more fluids and eat more vegetables and all of that. I could just literally understand that everything she was saying in that moment was true. Because you guys, I kid you not, even while I was sick, I was still making videos. I was still editing videos. I was still constantly working. There's just something about you being a content creator that you don't know when it's time to clock out. You are always constantly working. It's not like you work a 9 to 5 or a corporate job where, you have closing hour, like when it's 4 p.m. or 5 p.m., you pack your bags and you head home and have your rest for the day. Because you work for yourself, you do everything yourself. You are always every single time is content time. It's filming time for you. It's time to make content, time to edit your videos. Literally, I just understood that was actually the problem with me. And she was like, she's not going to give me more medications because she knows I've taken a lot, that I should just, drink more water, eat more vegetables and all of that, and try to reduce my screen time. And I was like, thank you, doctor. I'm going to pay attention to that because I can literally understand where you're coming from. So that was what happened. And, when I was coming back, I just felt quite happy, because if I hadn't gone to the doctor, I wouldn't have realized that was the problem. I would still be trying to do all of that. I mean, I'm still doing all of that, but now I'm more intentional. I'm trying to bear in mind that my health comes first. So when I go back home, I've been taking more water a lot. You guys see this? I've been drinking a lot of water now. I'm just trying to be more intentional about my health. And now for the second part of the gist, of the hospital gist, When I got to the hospital, before the doctor started telling me all of these things, when I sat down, I started talking to her about, how I felt, all of the medications that I took. The first question she asked me was, "Are you studying?" And I was like, "No, I'm not studying." She was like, "Are you done with secondary school?" You guys, how do I even start? I'm a 25-year-old girl who has been done with university almost 3 years ago. Over 3 years ago. And someone still looks at me in this my big age of 25 and still asks me if I'm done with secondary school. You got the only funny part is that, like, I get this a lot. I don't know why for some reason some people still see me as a teenager. I don't know if my face still gives off, teenager vibes. I don't know how that happens. It's a good thing, but then also it's not so good because as much as people addressing me or seeing me as a teenager means that I'm aging well. There are some times when I'm like, don't talk to me like that. I'm not a kid. People talk down on me a lot of times in public spaces because they see me as a teenager. Like, I have to stand up and like speak for myself and tell them that, like, hey, don't talk to me like that. But anyways, that is aside. That is the gist. I just feel like I should catch you guys up on and I should tell you guys about it. So if you're someone like me who looks younger than your age, go own it with pride because that is a gift and not everybody gets to have that. It's a blessing that you get to look younger than your age. And if you experience stuff like I do about people looking down on you or talking down on you because you look like a teenager in their eyes, girl, don't fail to always stand your ground and let them know that you are not a teenager, you are a grown as adults and they should treat you as such. That being said, let's get into today's episode. I feel like I've been having a lot on this topic and I feel like I got a little too serious when I started talking about, the teenager, whatever stuff. But let's get into today's episode. So on today's episode, we're going to be talking about how to prioritize your mood and increase your productivity. Like I said at the beginning, this is a specialty of mine. I am somebody who has always liked to do things when I'm in the mood, like down to the basic stuff. I like to prioritize my mood to the point that I only do stuffs when I'm in the mood to do them. And when I'm not in the mood, I will not be doing them. But like I also said at the beginning, mood is very fleeting. You're not always going to be in the mood to do things. So how do you activate your mood so that you are in the mood to get that thing done when you need to get it done? So that's what we're going to be discussing on today's episode. First things first, and one way you can get to activate your mood is to picture what it will look like when that task is done. If you need to study, if you are a student and you need to study, you have a lot of handouts or notes and all of that to read, and you are not feeling in the mood to read as at that time, just imagine how fulfilled and satisfied you will be when you have read all of that. Like, imagine the future before you begin the activity. So you imagine how fulfilled you feel having covered all of your handouts, having read all of the notes you need to study for whatever course that you're studying for, and then put that picture in your head. That will uplift your mood and get your head in the space of doing that activity, like reading that book or studying those handouts or all of those notes. The end result of every successfully completed activity is always satisfying. So when you picture the end result of doing a particular activity, it can get you activated to do that particular activity. When you imagine the end result of studying your handouts or studying your materials for an exam, you feel satisfied about having gained the knowledge that is contained in that material, and you feel confident about writing the particular exam because you studied the material. So that fulfillment and satisfaction and confidence you get of having studied that handout will make you get in the mood to study the handout. So that is one way you can activate your mood to get an activity done. Another thing you can do is to think of an activity or a fun thing that you can do after that activity or that task has been completed. For instance, if you have to study but you're not in the mood to study, just imagine, hanging out with your friends after studying, going to watch a movie, or just basically doing any fun thing that gets you excited, would put you in the mood to actually do that activity or do that task. The feeling you get after studying, that you go to watch a movie and you're having a nice time with your friends, will get you to study or will get you to do that particular activity. Personally, when I have a lot of chores to do around the house, like I have a lot of cleanups to do and I don't feel in the mood to do the cleanup, I start picturing having to sit in the clean space and watching a show on TV or reading a novel or watching a movie, basically any relaxing activity or fun thing that gets me excited. I picture doing a fun thing in the environment that is now clean. So that picture in my head will make me get up and actually start cleaning the house. So that is one way that you can get your mood activated. You can picture a different image or you can imagine a different activity depending on what you like or the kind of things that you enjoy doing. If you enjoy hanging out with friends, that could be something that you think about. You could think about having to hang out with your friends after you've done whatever the job is or whatever the work that you need to do is, and that will set you or get you excited. So you're going to try to quickly get the work done so that you can get to do that activity or that fun thing that you want to do. While I do that task, I will be excited doing it because of the thing that I will get to do after doing that task. It could be reading your favorite book, it could be watching a movie, it could be going on a solo date, it could be literally anything depending on what you like and what you enjoy doing. The third way you can activate your mood to increase productivity is to place a reward or put a reward for yourself for getting an activity done or for getting a task done. You could decide to reward yourself. These points can sort of be related with the previous point I just made about thinking of a favorite activity or thinking of a fun thing that you get to do after the work. In this case, it is not like thinking of something you get to do, but rewarding yourself. It could be with gifts or just quality time that you spend with friends. So the reward you can give yourself can come in different forms. It could be material things like a gift. You could decide to get yourself your favorite drink after you're done with the work. You could decide to get yourself a huge present, a cake, or whatever it is, depending on what you feel like the reward for that job or for that work that you did is worth. You could be rewarding yourself by reading your favorite book or listening to your favorite music. It could be as little as that. It could be rewarding yourself by watching your favorite show or anything of that sort if it's something that you are interested in. Personally, when I was in school, one thing I usually did for myself or one reward that I usually would give to myself for doing a marathon of study in a day is getting my favorite drink. Back then in uni, I used to love this juice and I still love it still, is tea exotic. So when I have to study a lot, one thing I would do to sort of give myself motivation and make myself motivated to read or do a marathon study is by promising myself to get my favorite drink once I'm done studying. The feeling of having my favorite drink that is so chilled and so nice just uplifts my mood, and I imagine having that feeling after I'm done studying. Like after a long day of studying, I can just relax, pour myself a glass of that juice and cool my temperature and cool my brain basically. So that was one thing I usually did for myself when I was in uni. So it can be literally anything, whatever you think that activity you have to do is what you can decide to gift yourself that or reward yourself with that after the activity has been done or after the task has been completed. Now let's get into how to actually be productive. It's not enough that you activate your mood to get productive, but how do you actually be productive when that mood has been activated? So one way to actually be productive and to ensure that you actually do the work after your mood has been activated is to set a time frame for yourself to do that particular work. Whatever the task is, you can set a time frame for yourself to actually get that work done. So it's registered in your mind that you have 2 hours or 3 hours to get this work done. And after getting this work done, you get to do whatever thing that you love to do, or you get to reward yourself with anything that you love. If you have to study maybe for a test or for an exam and you have successfully activated your mood to get yourself to study, one way to actually be productive and ensure that you study that material is to set a time frame for yourself. You can use an alarm clock or a timer, or whatever means is convenient for you. Set the timer for maybe 2 or 3 hours or 5 hours, depending on how long you want to study for. Keep the timer somewhere close to you so that you're constantly aware and reminded that this is the amount of time you have to get this work done. Setting the timer beside you or setting the alarm beside you helps you to constantly be conscious of the fact that this is the time you are working with, and will help you to be efficient to carry out the tasks effectively within that time frame that you set for yourself. Another way to actually get productive is to listen to podcasts or music, depending on your choice, while you carry out the work. Sometimes when we have an activity to carry out or a work to do, especially when the work seems like a boring work, you could listen to music or podcasts to help you get through the work. If you work best when you listen to music, you could decide to listen to music. It also depends on the nature of the job that you're doing. If it's a job or a work that requires your full attention and your concentration, the music that you could listen to are slow, calm, quiet songs that will help you to retain your concentration and your attention in the work that you're actually carrying out. This is as opposed to doing a work that doesn't involve your full concentration and attention. Like if you were doing the chores around the house, you could listen to songs that increase your vibes and make you happy and excited. Songs that will just help you get through the work without even realizing that you actually went through the work. Although it could work in the opposite way for some people who can study with loud music or who understand best or could concentrate more when they have loud music playing in their ears while they study. So depending on what works for you, you could listen to music while you work or while you do your task. And if you are not really into music, you prefer to listen to podcasts while you are getting productive, while you are getting your work done, you could listen to different podcasts depending on the kind or the nature of the work that you are doing. If you are doing work that requires your concentration, your attention, you could listen to calm podcasts that just helps you retain concentration and help you focus and get your attention on the work that you are doing. I personally love to listen to podcasts in the morning while I'm getting ready, while I'm dressing my bed, while I'm just getting my day started. One of the podcasts that I listen to a lot is A Better You podcast by Fernanda Ramirez. She's like one of my favorite podcasts to listen to. I could listen to her podcast anywhere, anytime, but I mostly love to listen to her podcast in the morning while I just get up, while I'm just getting dressed and getting ready for my day. I also listen to Keep It Positive Sweetie by Krista Renee Hazlett. I don't think I'm pronouncing that name right, but yeah, she's a famous Black actress and I love her podcast so much. I listen to her podcast when I'm doing chores, when I'm washing, when I'm doing the dishes. I also listen to a Bible podcast, but that's basically for my spirituality. I always listen to the Bible in a Year podcast by Father Mike Schmitz every morning. There are also a couple of podcasts that I listen to that it's not really coming to my mind right now, but if podcast is your vibe, you could listen to a podcast while you get your work done. It could help you to carry out the work effectively and get the work done. If you're interested in any of the podcasts that I just mentioned, you can check them out. I think they're available on every podcast streaming platform: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, I think. Yeah, I'm not much of a music fan. I hardly listen to music. The only music that I listen to be very honest, are gospel music, and there are very, very few on my playlist. Like, I literally do not have up to 200 songs on my phone. I'm not really a music person, but I would listen to podcasts, and podcasts are just my vibe. So I always listen to podcasts as opposed to listening to music. I mean, I listen to music sometimes, but I listen more to podcasts. Yeah. Another way you can actually be productive is by working outside of your comfort zone. Sometimes when you work from a particular environment for a long period of time, you can get very bored and unproductive because you are already used to that environment. In that situation, to get productive, you can decide to change your environment so that you can just have a different scene while you do that work or while you get that work done. I remember when I was still in uni, when I used to study, I'm someone who always loves to study from my room. Like, no place is better for me to study than the comfort of my room. But when it start approaching exams period, when I feel like there are a lot of materials that I have to cover, and once I'm in my room, I easily get distracted. I see myself getting up to go eat, even though I have just eaten like less than 30 minutes ago. I see myself getting distracted by the littlest of things. One thing I usually did during that period was to pack my bags and head to a class and study. That way, my mind is taken off from things that could distract me within my room, and I'm faced with a different scene. So it's easier for me to concentrate on the work that I have to do. You could decide to change your environment so that you can concentrate better and get the work done. So depending on the kind of work you are doing, you could decide to work in a cafe if you're able to work from a cafe and you can be able to get your work done better from a cafe. You could also decide to work from a library if you are a student. If you study, you need a different setting I feel like the library setting, the library scene is just going to put your head in a serious state, because you're looking at books all around, you're looking at fellow students who are also busy studying. So your brain is sort of programmed to study and be intentional about studying at that point in time. So depending on the work that you're trying to get done, you could decide to change the scene of your environment where you work, so that you can work better and do your work more efficiently and effectively. Another thing that's quite controversial is recording yourself while you work. It is something that I personally do that actually helps me get my work done. I don't do it now, except when I'm filming or trying to make content. But before I got into content creation, I used to record myself while I got my daily mundane activities done around the house. I would just set my phone on record and clean the house, those very minor activities around the house. I used to feel myself doing it, and it just had a way of setting my head in the space of being productive. So when I set my phone on record and keep it at a place to start doing those activities, in my head it's like I can't be recording nothing, so I actually have to be doing the work. So once my phone is recording, the things that I need to get done is being done, and after doing all of that, I can sit back and watch myself get all of that done, and there's something very satisfying about it. I don't even know how to explain it. If you were studying, it could also be a way for you to romanticize the activity, just like it is for you to watch your favorite creators on social media work at a cafe or do basic things and record themselves doing it and then post it for you to see it and appreciate it. That's the same way it works for you. You could set up your camera and get your work done, and just, even if you don't post it, even if you're not a content creator, you don't do social media, you could just keep it for yourself to watch at any time or delete it. Basically, it's up to you what to do with the footage after the work has been done. But the most important thing is that you actually got the work done. So that is another way to actually get productive. Now, it's important that I mention that before all of this, before you get your mood activated to actually be productive, there are certain things that you need to pay attention to so that you can be able to effectively get that work done. One of the things that you can do is to ensure that you get a proper night's rest, a proper night's sleep. Ensuring you get at least 6 to 8 hours of sleep at night, if you know you are about to have a productive day the next day, will help you feel more energized to actually carry out the activities of that day. If you plan to have a marathon study session the next day, what you could do for yourself to enable you study effectively is to have a good night's rest the previous day. Ensure that you go to bed on time so that your brain gets enough rest, your body feels energized when you get up, so that when you actually start studying or when you actually start getting whatever the work is done, you don't get quickly exhausted or tired, and you will be able to see the work through to the end because your body got enough rest that it needed to carry you through that task. So ensuring that you get enough sleep is very important. Also, you could do some exercise. Exercise is definitely one way you can help yourself to be able to carry out a task. Moving your body or exercising your body or doing simple basic workouts, either home workouts or workouts in the gym or whatever, to get your body active will help you to effectively carry out your tasks. If you don't go to a gym or you're not subscribed to a gym or whatever, I don't know how that goes, you could do basic home workouts from the comfort of your room, for the comfort of your home. You could just get yourself a workout mat that you could use in your room or anywhere around your house to do your workouts. I personally don't even have a workout mat. I have a very regular Nigerian mat that I used to do my workouts. I recently got into workout lately, and I can't even tell you guys how beneficial it has been for me, and it's something that I would recommend to literally anybody. Everybody should work out once in a while, as much as you can. Try to move your body, try to get active so that your body is not always feeling so tired and weak all of the time. You can watch some channels on YouTube or Instagram or whatever social media platform you are comfortable with that put out workout videos that are easy for you to follow. I personally am subscribed to Growing Ananas on YouTube. I enjoy her workout section a lot. Another content creator that I recently started following on YouTube is Lydia Mira. She posts very short workout videos, mostly Pilates workout. I don't know if I'm saying Pilates well, but yeah, she posts very short 5, 10, 20 minutes Pilates workout videos, and I found them to be very, very helpful. And I've been doing a lot of those lately, although I don't think I've worked out in like 2 weeks. But yeah, you could exercise your body basically to get active so that when you start getting your work done, you don't feel weak, you don't feel exhausted, you don't feel tired, and you're able to see the work through to the end. Another thing you could do is to speak positively to yourself. You could use words of affirmations just to get yourself gingered up, just to get yourself motivated to actually carry out the task. I think in the first episode of this podcast, when I was making the intro, I said something about the reason why I started this podcast is that I always talk to myself like a crazy person, but it's something that I do. I tell myself how beautiful I am. I tell myself I can do this. I'm strong. Basically, all of those motivating quotes that just uplifts my spirits and make me feel better about myself and better about whatever I'm doing at that moment or whatever I'm going through. So it's something that you could start incorporating into your life. Just start getting used to speaking positively to yourself, no matter what situation or condition you find yourself in. Try to see the good in that situation or in that condition by saying nice things to yourself. One thing I know I've struggled with and I am slowly getting over is negativity. I'm somebody that has like always thought negatively about myself. So when I say speaking positively to yourself, it's something that I intentionally started doing for myself, and I noticed how much it has helped me. So it is something that you can also do for yourself. For studying, some of the words of affirmation you can use or you can say to yourself is, I am brilliant, I retain everything that I study, my brain is capable of understanding, I trust myself and trust the power of my brain, I am confident. So yeah, those are some of the few words of affirmation you can use if you are studying. There are a lot more. You can find them online or on Pinterest. I personally am a fan of Pinterest. I always find myself running to Pinterest. Another thing that is obviously very important is for you to eat healthy. Pay attention to the kind of food that you eat, ensuring that you eat more vegetables, more fruits, more of proteins that will help build up your body and make you feel stronger. Eating healthy will help your body feel good and will help you to effectively carry out whatever work that it is you are trying to carry out. Now that I talk about eating healthy, I just remember what I said initially at the beginning of this podcast, where I was talking about visiting a doctor and she telling me to eat more fruits and more vegetables. So yeah, it goes to show that I haven't really been paying attention to that. So now that I'm effectively doing it, I'm also telling you guys to do it. For majority of this week, I have been eating a lot of vegetables. Like I literally went to the market and bought myself a bunch of vegetables, and that is what I feel like I've been eating for most of this week. But anyways, eating more vegetables, eating more fruits will help your body feel good and help you get productive and actually get your work done. So these are little things that you can pay attention to help you get productive and help your body feel good while you are actually doing that work. In conclusion of this episode, it is important that you celebrate your small victories. No matter how little the work you're able to get done is, appreciate yourself and give yourself some credit for the fact that you're able to get that work done. It makes you feel good about being productive and actually doing something. The small work that you're able to get done is worth celebrating. You don't have to accomplish a very big task before you celebrate. The tiny things that you do a day are worth celebrating. It just sort of relates to when I talked about giving yourself a reward after you have done a task. That is essentially what I'm saying now. Appreciate yourself for actually getting that work done. Some people just laid in bed all day and did nothing, but you're able to get up and you got a lot of things done. So appreciate yourself for getting that thing done. And like I said earlier, it doesn't even have to be a big reward for yourself. You could just listen to your favorite music and dance around your room because you were able to get your tasks done. That is a celebration, and that will make you feel good and make you feel motivated to even do more tasks or do more work another time. It could be like preparing yourself a very delicious meal at the end of the day's work just to celebrate yourself for how productive you have been. It is definitely worth celebrating, no matter how little the task you are able to get done is. So always remember to celebrate your small victories. You could decide to take a little walk. That can be a way of celebrating yourself for getting your work done. You could take a little walk, see nature, see people around, people watch, appreciate life basically. So with all of this being said, I'm going to be ending this episode right here, and I'm super grateful to you guys for watching and for listening. I can't even tell you how difficult putting out this particular episode has been. Like, it has taken me 5 different trials to actually get this episode up. Like and subscribe to the channel if you are watching on video. If you are a video watcher or listener, give this podcast a rating on Spotify. I don't know, for some reason I've been trying to get this podcast up on Apple Podcast, but I don't know. I don't know why it's not working. I've been trying it for like over 3 weeks now since I started this podcast actually, and maybe because I'm not using an Apple phone. I guess that's why. But anyway, for now, the podcast is available on Spotify, on YouTube, YouTube Music. Yeah, you can check the podcast out on those platforms and enjoy the episode. Basically, thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. I would like to know your contributions on this episode. If there are other ways that you feel I didn't mention that helps you get productive, share with us in the comments, and I'll be happy that you did that. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.